Hey guys, welcome back to the AddMeGamers channel. As always, this is Dan, and today I'm going to be continuing my StarCraft 2 weekend commentary. This is going to be Stephano and DieStar versus AiSieech and Kane. I did call him Lillekanin, but I call him Kane, so we do have Kane and AiSieech. So AiSieech, of course, on the top right corner as the orange Zerg player, and on the top right corner as well we do have Kane, while as the green Terran player, and on the bottom left, of course, we do have Stephano as the Zerg with his teammate DieStar. Now this is a 2v2 game. I am sort of enjoying these 2v2 games, so I did decide to do a little bit more of these 2v2 games, as there's a little bit more action between these two players. You do have two separate strategies. Sometimes it is correlated between the two players, but majority of the time both players are going for different strategies while they're monitoring their other teammate, and in accordance to that they are continuing to play and strike in accordance to exactly what their team player is doing. So it is so far interesting. Of course, we do have DieStar coming up with that wall, so he's going to be walling off for Stephano, of course, that supply depot barracks, probably another barracks and a supply depot. I can't even speak. So if you did watch the previous game for the StarCraft 2 between these two players, it was also a good game, but substantially much shorter, but it was still a pretty good game. And as always, if you do want to watch more StarCraft 2 commentaries that I've been doing, you can always check the description below. In the actual description you will have the link to the playlist of my StarCraft 2 commentaries. So that's pretty much it in terms of what's going on. AiSieech, of course, came down with that second hatchery substantially earlier than Stephano. Stephano not really going for that hatchery. Stephano so far just seems to be droning up, coming down finally with that spawn pool. I don't know, it seems to be a little bit behind though, but AiSieech did go for that hatchery first instead of the spawn pool, while Stephano did go for that spawn pool first. So of course that wall off coming in by Kane as well. So Star, of course, in parallel in terms of the wall itself. We do have that supply depot as predicted, and maybe these two barracks will be split apart and the attachments will be dropped. That should pretty much wall it off. No, he will stick a bunker. Very nice play by DieStar. So far so good, and the supply depot should be able to drop and let Stephano leave the base when he decides to do so. But here finally comes that second hatchery up for Stephano, a little bit behind, substantially behind actually, not even a little bit, but he does have the metabolic boost substantially earlier in terms of AiSieech. And Kane really also completing that wall off, and nothing really much happening. We do finally have those overlords streaming across the map by AiSieech to scout out in terms of what's going on by the opposing players. Of course, Stephano's overlord as well. He did send up a notification he wants to drop that supply. He did drop it down, and DieStar should raise it and hopefully send out those Zerglings as well. He does finally have that bunker. He has already three Marines for that bunker. I feel a boost. I should monitor as well exactly what they're chatting between each other. It is turning to be a little bit more interesting in terms of how they're monitoring each other. That Zergling, of course, is going to be bypassing the center, being that Zolanga tower. He's thinking that Kane or AiSieech might have a unit on, or Zergling on, that actual thing, preventing that scout out by the Zerglings by Stephano. So very nice play by Stephano going around, and that Marine should pretty much drop it, especially with that tank already in production by Kane. So Kane's going for the tanks. Stephano notifies DieStar that he has tanks, so DieStar should hopefully come up with a composition that should counteract those tanks, or will he be going tanks as well? So far DieStar is going for a second command center. Kane still didn't go for a second command center. He's still just building off that one command center. Now he started his second command center, just a little bit behind DieStar. DieStar so far is a little bit ahead in terms of his second base and drone wise, while Stephano is droning up. So this is going to be a mid game, I do believe, a mid to end game 2v2. So it should be pretty interesting play. And in terms of this, we do have the overlords coming out, and a notification by Stephano. DieStar saying okay. I'm not quite sure exactly what he intends to use that scout out for. He actually did show him that he has the secondary base there as well, so pretty interesting to see exactly what's going to be happening between these two players. Very nice coordination in terms of Stephano and DieStar. They are coordinating between each other. You don't have that same communication going on with the other base as well. So really strategically, I do believe DieStar and Stephano do have an advantage. The communication between both the players is key in getting that done and ready. So let's take a look at the production tab. Of course, we do have Kane going up with those tanks as well. You go Infestor and Muta, while Stephano's saying Infestor. He's going Infestor, so he's going to be an Infestor, probably Infestor Zergling push. Stephano, very famous for the Infestor Zergling push. While DieStar probably going bio heavy. Let's take a look at his composition. No, he is switching to the tanks now, but what's exactly he's going to be doing? Yeah, he is switching to tanks, so he's going to be countering those tanks by tanks. So it's going to be a tank push. Not really much bio though. Really no bio at all, to be honest. So it's going to be a tank push, tank bio push, but mainly it's going to be a mech heavy push, I do believe, by DieStar. We do finally have that one upgrade coming for Stephano, that one attack. And let's take a look at AiSieech. AiSieech is not really doing much. AiSieech is where's AiSieech here? C is going for Mutalisks. Very interesting play. He does have Mutalisks into play with that weapons level 1 as well for those Mutalisks. So far, none of the players are expecting that Mutalisk attack is going to be coming, though. We do have that scan coming down by, of course, Kane. So Kane knows that the frontal wall is pretty heavy, except it has no Mutalisks or nothing anti-air, though. So those 12 Mutalisks coming down, that they are already popped. They are already here. They come. This Zerglings, hopefully they should be able to scout out that third base and those Mutalisks. They scouted out that third base, but didn't scout those Mutalisks. Those Mutalisks just missed that scan here. They're going to be moving forward. There's going to be very nice damage for the actual Stephano production line. He does see them a little bit too late. He pulls the probes off the line. Mutalisks going in for those actual probes. Probes moving down. Some Marines being pulled off the line as well. I don't know if he has stim research complete. No, he doesn't. He is pulling off a lot of these Marines. Marines, of course, are going to be forcing those Mutalisks to move back. And that's pretty much it for this Mutalisks line. Of course, probes moving back into the line itself, now being pulled off again. And that's pretty much it for the Marines. Marines didn't survive this Mutalisk harass by AiSieech. So, so far so good. Finally, that Spore came online, and we do have more Mutalisks reinforcing this actual base itself. Spores being moved into place now, digging in, and they might even actually get dropped. First Spore gets dropped a little bit too late, not enough to rebuild those Mutalisks. Very nice harass by AiSieech, and AiSieech is actually really putting on a very, very good harass in terms of this actual gameplay. And finally, that Mutalisk is Mutalisk harass by AiSieech is being moved back. They are going for that third hatchery by Stephano. This is pretty much going to drop. So much for the hidden hatchery by Stephano. That is going to drop. We do have a couple of overlords here being chased down by that one Marine, so that he might even be able to drop one of those overlords, maybe two. I do believe just one. We do have a lot of overlords though being placed around by AiSieech. I gotta get that name right. Third hatchery, of course, being deployed by AiSieech as well. And Kane going for that level 1 upgrade for the tanks as well. And finally, we do have that Greater Spire coming online for Stephano. So he might be going for Broodlings. It's pretty interesting to see what he's going to be picking in terms of the Greater Spire. And we do have finally those Infestors, as Stephano said. So these Mutalisks, really air superiority so far for this game. Nobody really has anything to counteract these air units. We do have, of course, those Spores being placed down. And I do believe DieStar didn't place down any. Did he place down any air defense? No, not at all. He is just droning up, getting those units up and ready. And finally, here comes a Mutalisk harass for DieStar. Now DieStar is going to have to cope with this Mutalisk harass. We do have that one overlord. Wait for Thors. DieStar is telling him to hold on for the Thors before he pushes out. So finally, it really doesn't look in terms of economy-wise an advantage for Stephano and DieStar, as we do have the other party already expanding to already a third and fourth base. As you can see, you do have a third and fourth base for AiSieech, and Kane also going for that third base as well. So really interesting to see this. This is not good. DieStar says go. That's it. Here comes the push. We do have Corruptors moving in. We do have tanks and two Thors and a couple of Infestors. So this is supposed to be it. DieStar saying go scout. So he's trying to send off Stephano to move a little forward. Here comes the scouting party. There goes the Zerglings. I do believe one Broodlord into play with their Great Aspire. Very nice play. And Kane going, of course, for the Thors as well. So finally this push is coming up. Those Mutalisks are moving around the base, and finally here comes that scout. They should spot those probes being pulled off the line, but really nothing happening so far. He is actually expecting that DieStar is going to lead the charge, so I'm not exactly sure what they're waiting for, and they may be waiting for more units in play, and we do have more units in play, and finally here comes the push. So is he going to be moving forward though? He really needs to move forward. Finally the two bases, I mean the two armies are going up against each other. They are putting a couple of siege tanks, Kane pulling up. Here come the Mutalisks moving down, targeting, firing that Broodlord. Of course the Broodlord did manage to just survive. No, or did it get dropped? No, it did survive. Thors will pretty much mop up the actual Mutalisks. A couple of siege tanks on the high ground as well. Not really enough to cope with this. Those Broodlings should pretty much pick these siege tanks off. It should be very easy for these Broodlings. Of course Kane knows that, that's why he's retreating. He has really nothing much to cope with these Broodlings. A very nice strategic play by Stephano, and this hatchery should drop. That's really in their best interest, and this command center as well. The planetary is going to put a little minimum amount of reinforcements, and he should move back. Really, DieStar should move back and support his friend, because here come a couple of Vikings by Kane. These should pretty much chase back the Zerglings, but here comes a very nice fungal placement for these, and he should pretty much mop them up now. Unfortunately, the Thors are a little behind the line, so they can't pick off those Vikings, and Vikings finally move back though, even though they sustained quite a bit of damage. The Broodlings, of course, moving off to the flank to push that actual Thor infestor movement back, and that's it. The third base did move down. That's pretty much a mop-up, and finally DieStar is moving in for the actual main base, I do presume. He's going in for the kill. Here comes a scan being placed down, and they are moving and gonna sieging up, and pretty much gonna be pushing out the rest of the actual army itself. These Vikings can't do much, especially with the Thors. A very nice air, counter air, and very nice play between DieStar and Stephano. I do like it. A very nice play between both players, and we do have another base coming up again. And unfortunately, Stephano or DieStar doesn't see this, so they should have mopped up this base, including the SCVs, because this base is pretty much going to be built on the backside and the hidden side of these two players without them knowing it. A little bit of Viking harass, of course. He is trying to do as much Viking harass as possible. He should maybe move a couple of SCVs off the line to start the actual repair. Siege tanks being moved in by DieStar. Really, DieStar moving in for the push. Stephano really needs to push. Stephano is really just so far keeping the tanks off his actual back so far for DieStar, but really doing nothing much in terms of being aggressive. So let's see what happens. So far, Kane, of course, is hiding behind the actual lines and not doing really much. He's not even moving forward. He's not even trying to compete and help his player out. We do have a lot of Corruptors and a lot of course, Vikings, so they are going for air superiority, while, of course, Stephano is just trying to keep that ground reinforcement going. So visibility Viz, so let's see exactly what is happening here. We do have, of course, siege tanks being moved a little up, and finally the movement is being moved down, and that should pretty much mop up the rest of Kane's army, mech army, and even though this army is not going to last, but it did prove to do a little bit of harass, so the siege tanks are pretty much going to drop. They have been surrounded, and that's pretty much it. We do have, of course, weapons level 2 for DieStar coming online, so he is really, that really confirms that he is only going for those tanks, and he really has nothing to counteract these Vikings, so he really needs something to counteract those Vikings. That would maybe a Raven with a Seeker missile would pretty much do those Vikings in. Unfortunately, no Protoss with that mothership, so that's pretty much it. A lot of resources lost. If we do take a look at the resources lost, units lost, Stephano, of course, has a lot of units lost. But resources-wise, you can see that AiSieech and Kane are on the losing end, including Stephano, but you should expect that a lot of resources will be lost in terms of Stephano. There's nothing he can pretty much do in terms of these air units. Stephano needs to produce those Corruptors. We do have a lot of Corruptors coming in. He should retreat, of course. The amount of air, this air is really the Achilles heel for the Stephano DieStar build, and here comes a little bit of harass. A couple of Zerglings moving down to that fourth base to prevent Stephano from expanding. Of course, counteracted with a couple of Zerglings as well, so that pretty much should stop that push so far. And finally a counter by AiSieech and Kane. Nothing really much happening from Kane. Kane seems to be the, you can say, not really the best player so far, but I don't really know why they're holding on. You know, the push so far seems to still be, I mean, the advantage seems to so far still be on their hand. Look at the amount of tech units, and finally Corruptors, more Corruptors online, a couple of Infestor. Here comes the scan, and the scan probably was seen by the opposing team, and that's pretty much it, I do believe. A very nice infestor. infestor fungal placement for those Vikings. Vikings are pretty much dead, if not all dead, so they really can't do anything much. A couple of broodlings being sent off to the side to deal with that, and the infestors and corruptors are going to deal with that as well. And of course Kane moving down a couple of mechs for the side itself. And will actually DieStar move for the kill? No, it doesn't seem so. He is just literally leaving that attack for Stephano. Stephano chasing down those mech units, so that's pretty much it, leaving it open. And now finally DieStar's going in for the kill, and this pretty much seals the fate of both the players, and Kane calls it a good game, and AiSieech as well, as they do see the massive amount of mech units coming in from DieStar. Very nice second game between these two players, and as always guys, see you guys in my next week's StarCraft 2 weekend commentary. I hope you guys like it, and see you around. Bye.